Growing up, I had two best friends, Ephraim and Sergio. If you had a best friend growing up, you know that you guys do a lot of things together. And I mean a lot. I spent a ton of time with them and their families. And because I did, I had a close-up view of how their families worked and interacted with each other. They both had incredible families. Their families spent quality time together, talked together, and encouraged each other. At the time, I probably didn't know why I liked spending so much time at their houses. But looking back, I think I know why. I loved being around a family that I thought had it all together. I thought their family was perfect. And if they weren't perfect, which I know they weren't because no family is perfect, then I must have just felt like I belonged. It wasn't that my family was horrible. It wasn't. It was more like we weren't very anything. Basically, we just kind of existed around each other. We lived in the same house and orbited around each other like a dysfunctional solar system. In our family, we didn't talk about anything meaningful. We didn't do anything fun together, and we definitely didn't take yearly vacations together. And when we did interact, there was fighting, yelling, and slamming doors. All of this seemed totally normal until I went to my friends' houses. I loved being around my friends' families so much that one night after getting into a nasty argument with my mom, I told her that I wished Ephraim's family was my family. I mostly said it to just hurt my mom, but I also said it because it was partly true. But even if you haven't reverted to the level of cruelty that I did, you've probably noticed that sometimes it seems like other families have something going for them that your family doesn't. However we feel about our own families, we may still have time where we look around and think, wow, it would be great if my family was more like that. Maybe you thought that about a family on TV, or a friend's family, or a family in your neighborhood or apartment complex. And maybe seeing them makes you wish that your family was better, kinder, or closer. Whatever it is that they have that your family simply doesn't measure up to that. Regardless of your family experience, good or bad, memorable or forgettable, no family is perfect. No family is even close to perfect. And because of that, your family and my family will never be able to provide everything we need in life. In one way or another, family will let us down. That's the bad news. When you think about dysfunctional families, the Bible is full of them. Meaning the people God has always used to do big things in His world have never been perfect, which is great news for all of us. And what makes the Bible so amazing is that it doesn't have to try to hide the major dysfunction of people who are in it. These aren't stories about flawless heroes. These are accounts of normal, unassuming, never expected men and women who God singles out to accomplish His will. We're gonna look at two guys from the Old Testament, David and Jonathan, who came from less than ideal families. Here are a few examples of what I mean. When David was a child, the prophet Samuel came to see David's father Jesse because he knew that one of Jesse's sons would be anointed as king. When Samuel asked Jesse to bring out all his sons, Jesse didn't even bring out David. He thought David wasn't worth it. Whew, that had to hurt. On Jonathan's side, his mother seemed to be very passive and uninvolved. His father Saul was the exact opposite. He was overly involved, overly aggressive, and borderline crazy. He was obsessed with power and was so set on defending it and keeping it that he tried to have David, who God had told would be the next king, killed on multiple occasions. Saul was definitely not winning any Father of the Year awards. See what I mean? Totally dysfunctional. In fact, maybe that is what made David and Jonathan such good friends. In fact, they could relate with each other's crazy families. John is the son of the current king of Israel. David has been anointed by the prophet Samuel to be the future king. In any other situation, David and Jonathan should have never been friends. In fact, they should have been rivals. Think about it. Both of them had claimed to be the future king. Jonathan was in the family line and would have been next up, but God had different plans. And even with all that being true, they were still friends. 1 Samuel 18 describes their friendship in this way. I don't know what kind of covenant or pact they made with one another, whether it was a document that they signed or some kind of pinky swear, but they obviously took it very seriously. These two needed each other at a time when they weren't getting much from their families. David had been removed from his family, and Jonathan's dad was officially crazy. Whatever family was supposed to look like, it didn't look that way for either of these guys. Later, Jonathan even looked out for David's life. Check this out. So, Jonathan spoke well about David to his dad. He talked about all the good things David had done, and probably, to the surprise of everyone, Saul changed his mind. Check it out. The promise Saul made didn't last long, but hey, at least Jonathan tried. Even though David was taking what would have rightly been Jonathan's place on the throne, Jonathan was an incredible friend to David. He cared about David. He looked out for David's life, future, and well-being. He saw potential in David's life. All of us need people like that in our lives. People who care about us and accept us no matter what. People who we can text when we've had the best week ever or when life isn't going so well at all. If you are a person who would call yourself a Jesus follower, you need people who will encourage you in your relationship with him. But what does this have to do with family? Remember, David and Jonathan found this in each other when their families were full of dysfunction. In other words, when there were gaps left by their family, they were able to find support from each other. Did they replace their family? Of course not. But they showed up for each other in a way family shows up for each other, even though they weren't related. This is one of the reasons why Jesus established the church. Even though we often confuse church with a building, it's not what it is. Church has always been a gathering of people first. The church is the family of God, the body of Christ. Jesus established the church because he knew that we need other people in our lives. Whatever your family looks like, you still need another type of family. A family that's larger than just our immediate family. Think of it this way. We don't meet together as a church just because of habit or routine. We meet because it's essential. We meet for encouragement and support. We meet because we need each other, and we let God and other people fill the potential gaps that have been left by our own families. And here's the secret. When you have those kinds of family of God relationships in your life, it can actually make your relationship with your own family better. They can help you understand each other and care for each other better. But what does this look like in our lives right now? I think a couple of things that will help. First, focus on widening your circle. Who are the people that you can seek out to be sort of a bonus family? Who are the people you care about and care about you? Who are the people who look out for you and your best interests? The second thing is to talk about it. David and Jonathan made a pact. Sometimes if we want people to be involved in our lives, we have to ask them. For example, if you want your small group leader to be like a mentor in your life, or to be someone who you can ask the hard questions and hold you accountable, you have to tell them. Imagine if in the next few years of your life, you had a group of people outside of your family who felt and acted and loved you like family. What if those people actually encouraged you and pushed you to make life in your own home better? Not only would that set you up for a better future, it would make your life more enjoyable. It matters to have more people than your family. Starting today, you can begin doing the work of building your bigger family. It won't happen overnight. Ask God to bring those people into your life. Family matters. You can build a bigger one.